Hi, I have two questions, one for Crispin and one for Vic. I mean, Dave.
I do that all the time. It's fine.
First of all, for Crispin, I just barely got into the whole blood bust thing, but I want to know, who did you have more fun doing? When you were doing the Helsing series, when you were doing a la carte, or now when you're doing Haji? Who did you have more fun doing?
Who did I have more fun doing? They're completely different characters. A la carte is crazy thing with really big guns. Who likes to eat people. Haji is this sort of elegant, princely, romantic, devoted boyfriend. Long-suffering. Long-suffering boyfriend who has a very limited vocabulary.
He said it!
And that's about it. But I love Haji because I love playing that kind of protector character. And I like the idea that you have this sort of incredibly powerful, devoted character to Saya. So I revel in being able to play, shall we say, gender ambivalent dressed men. With very long pretty hair. And blue lips. Next question.
My other question is for Dave, and basically same thing, except who did you have more fun doing, Solomon or Kakashi?
Wow. Again, two completely different characters. Because Kakashi is sort of like the dark, cool older brother who knows he can pretty much kill anyone. Which is a pretty nice way to get out of bed in the morning. Like, well, I don't know what happened today, but whatever it is, I could probably kill the person involved. Whereas Solomon is, again, sort of a touch androgynous, with a limited vocabulary. I think there's actually whole scenes of you and I just saying Saya back and forth. Saya. I like the idea that he has, Kakashi's kind of a loner, whereas Solomon seems to be desperately searching for someone or something to dedicate himself to. He's an unemployed chevalier, for God's sake. There's not a lot of work out there for those people, so they're both a lot of fun, but at the end of the day, if I had to choose, I wouldn't. Thank you for asking.
Thank you so much for answering my questions.
I want to say this real quick, but credit to these two actors, it's very hard to say one word differently and come across with that emotional meaning, and they both do it well.
Solomon. Well, maybe. It's a lot of takes, but eventually we get one that works.
The next question, yes.
This is more of a joke question, but how many roles are you going to have at this point, Crispin Freeman?
How many what?
How many roles are you going to have at this point?
As many as they casting it.
So you mean 19?
How many would you like?
One would be preferable.
Okay.
This is actually a question for both Ben Diskin and Michael Hack.
Yes.
I know you guys work in American animation, right?
Yes.
And how is that different from Japanese animation?
It's entirely different. It's usually an ensemble cast, so you have everybody in the room involved talking at once, and it's you're sort of in a room by yourself. Obviously, listening to the last to Michael or Phil or Dave or my producer or that sound engineer, that's you sort of have to feel out where everybody else is going to the scene as you're watching the Japanese instead.
Yeah, and the other real difference is that, when you do anime and you're matching the lips, there's a timing you have to match. So the actor is constricted by that timing in those lips. But when you do an ensemble show, it's very much like the old-time radio show, if you're familiar with that at all, where you sit around and so your timing can be much different. So you're not you can act it maybe differently than you would with the strict timing. So that's one of the main differences too.
It's also, just to sort of pick that up, the the directing job is so much different in original animation than in Japanese anime, because in original animation, you're sitting there watching two people have a conversation and you get to decide if you like that conversation or how you want to change it. Whereas with anime, because you're recording one person at a time, imagine having a conversation with someone who isn't there and then trying to imagine what their response would be. The only person who knows what that response is going to be before it's recorded is the director. So he's got to make sure he gets the first half of the conversation right, so that the second half of the conversation makes sense. So I don't think you get enough credit for being able to pull that.
Oh, thanks. Thank you very much. But let me just say this real quick with that process. With anime, and I think what we try to do for Blood Plus is be very true to the original, because it's a wonderful, exquisite series. When we do this, and especially these actors too, and then we'll stop patting each other on the back. Is that we do line at a time, line at a time, your own actors improve. So it's not about the line, it's about the scene. And I think that's what Dave was saying too, so we all see the big picture, and we have to create that scene. So each line is not important. What's important is the way that scene comes together with those lines. Before you have another question.
Actually, I have a question, but I just want to give a bit of a shout out. Dave Wittenberg, you did a great job on Double Figure 17.
Oh, thank you very much. That's an underappreciated show, Figure 17.
I watched it.
It was the first thing I ever wrote and directed, which was kind of cool. Well, the adaptation thereof. So while we're giving shout-outs, I want to say one other thing about original animation and anime. When you're doing anime, you're doing one character at a time. Even if you play multiple characters in the show, you do all of one and then you go and do all of the other. When you're doing original animation, if you play more than one character in the show, you're doing them all at the same time. Ben and I did a show together called Codename Kids Next Door. Anybody see that? Ben is number 1 and number 2. Alright? Which means there were entire scenes that might go on for 3 pages where the rest of us could just, go get something to drink because he was going to be arguing with himself. It's very entertaining to watch, but not very easy to do. So, my compliments.
Before I get to my first question, first of all, Crispin, you still look like Jesus. Obviously. And before I get to my question, I want to know, why is Dave supposed with a 5 and Quartet has this little piece of paper when all of you have these big signs?
It's, we're hazing him because he's new.
Okay.
And I spelled the name with a 5, it's silent.
Okay, my question is, everyone here is thinking it, I'm saying it. Crispin, who do you think will win in the fight? Alucard or Haji?
Ooh.
I'm going to have to go with Alucard. I mean, a vampire's going to beat the Chevalier. And Haji's pretty damn. You can hide behind that cello for a long time.
Yes,
you can hide behind that cello a long time, but eventually I think the Jacker would get him.
yeah. I'll way.